Oh, you think they care. You think if you change this, tweak that, play the perfect little puppet, they'll finally notice you. Ha! They don't care. You're out here begging, chasing, crying, thinking if you just say the right words, make the right moves, they'll wake up one day and go, "Oh wow, look what I've been missing. Oh my innocent friend." They're not thinking about you, not even for a second. They're out there living their life like nothing ever happened. You're stuck in this loop, spinning like a wind-up toy, thinking they'll stop and pay attention. They won't. Maybe you're trying to attract someone new, casting your little nets, trying to seem just perfect enough to catch their eye. Or maybe you're trying to re-spark that old flame, bring back the heat, show them what they're missing. But oh, they rejected you, didn't they? Rejected you like yesterday's trash, tossed aside like you didn't matter at all. And here you are, thinking maybe, just maybe, if you twist your love into a new shape or pull some dark psychology trick, they'll come running back. Let me tell you, no matter how much you twist, bend, or break yourself, they're not coming back. Not because you aren't good enough, oh no, but because they're too blind to see what they had. And what's this I sense? Fear. Oh, yes, I see it. The fear that maybe they were right. The fear that maybe you aren't good enough. That little voice in your head whispering, "What if they're right to leave me? What if I'm not worth it?" Oh, let me have some fun with this. That fear? It's a lie. A big, fat, ugly lie. They didn't reject you because of you. They rejected you because they didn't have the vision to see your worth. You're not trash. You're treasure, hidden in plain sight. But instead of shining for them, oh no, you're going to shine for yourself. You're going to rise so high, so brilliantly, they'll be blinded by the light. What's holding you back now? Oh, I see it. It's that ridiculous idea that they're the best you could ever get. You've built this little pedestal for them, haven't you? Made them out to be some kind of prize. Let me tell you something. They're not the prize. You are. They're not the light. You are. And the moment you stop looking at them as if they're the answer to your happiness is the moment you'll start to feel the fire inside you. Oh, you want to hear something funny? While you're here, wringing your hands, replaying old conversations, and wondering what you could have done differently, they've already forgotten half the things you're obsessing over. Think about that for a second. You're letting their indifference consume you while they're out there living their life, carefree, oblivious to the pain they caused. Isn't that hilarious? Oh, but the joke's on them, my friend. Because while they're busy taking life lightly, you're about to become unstoppable. Here's a little secret. Their rejection is your liberation. They threw you away thinking you were ordinary. They didn't know you were a seed, and seeds don't look like much until they grow. But when they grow, oh, they become mighty oaks, towering over the landscape. You're not trash. You're transformation waiting to happen. Every doubt they planted in your mind, it's fuel for the fire you're about to light. And what's that? You're afraid of being alone. Oh, let me savor this one. Alone? No, 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 my friend. You're never alone. You've got yourself. And when you start rising, when you start owning your worth, you'll find that being alone isn't loneliness. It's freedom. Freedom to build, to grow, to thrive, without the dead weight of someone who couldn't see your brilliance. You don't need someone to validate you. You don't need their approval, their attention, or their love to know your value. Your value is inherent. It's carved into your very existence. Now, let's get real. This isn't going to be easy. Rising from the ashes never is. But oh, it's going to be worth it. Because every step you take away from their rejection is a step toward your destiny. And let me tell you, the look on their face when they see you thriving, that's just the cherry on top. But don't do it for them. Do it for you, for the person you are becoming, for the person who doesn't need anyone's validation to feel whole. Here's your affirmation. Drop it in the comments. I dominate the game. Feeling powerful. Perfect. Write it for once and all in the comments and embrace it. Let it echo through every action you take from here on out. You're not just overcoming, you're overtaking. You're not just surviving, you're thriving. And hey, if this content is helping you out, it definitely deserves a like, so hit that like button under this video and subscribe to the channel. So, are you ready to leave them in the dust? To build an empire from the rubble they left you with? Hold on tight, because in the next section, we're diving into the 7 steps to rise, a blueprint for building your empire of self-worth and success. Let's start this show, and trust me, it's going to be a spectacle they'll never forget. Let's get this masterclass started. Step 1. Kill the fantasy. Face the facts. Oh, you're still clutching onto that little fantasy, aren't you? That fairy tale where they suddenly realize your worth, where they call you up, voice trembling, and beg for another chance. It's a nice dream, isn't it? But let me hit you with the truth. That dream is a prison. Every time you replay it, every time you hold on to it, you're locking yourself in the past. You're stuck in a cycle, hoping they'll save you, when the only person who can save you is staring back at you in the mirror. Let's be honest. They're not spending sleepless nights thinking about you. They're not tossing and turning, consumed by regret. They've moved on, probably without even a second glance. And here you are, a marionette to your own memories, dancing to the strings of what could have been. It's time to take those scissors, my friend, and cut those strings. Because that fantasy isn't just holding you back. It's suffocating the future you could have. You might be thinking, but what if they do miss me? What if I just wait a little longer? Oh, stop it. That's the fear talking, the part of you that's too afraid to face the truth. Here's a hard pill to swallow. They're not coming back. And if they do, they're not coming back for the right reasons. They'll come back because they're bored, lonely, or because they think they can still control you. Is that what you want? To be Sofonder, someone's backup plan, someone's rainy day comfort. You deserve more. Stop living in that illusion. It's a cheap magic trick, and the only person it's fooling is you. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. This is your power, the ability to kill the fantasy and face the facts. And the facts are simple. They didn't see your worth. That's their loss, not yours. But you can't rise while holding on to the ashes of what burned you. Let it go. Release it. Mourn it if you have to, but don't live there. The funeral is over. Still afraid? Still wondering, but what if I let go and they really do change? Oh, my dear dreamer, change doesn't happen overnight, and it certainly doesn't happen because you're waiting in the wings, hoping they'll notice. People change because they want to, not because you made yourself miserable enough for them to care. Stop bargaining with your peace of mind for a future that doesn't exist. Kill the fantasy before it kills you. Imagine this. You're holding a balloon, and that balloon represents everything you've built up in your mind about this person, their potential, the memories, the what-ifs. It's pretty, right? But the longer you hold it, the more it weighs you down. Your arms get tired, your grip falters, and suddenly, that beautiful balloon isn't lifting you, it's anchoring you. So what do? You let it go. Watch it float away, out of reach, out of sight. That's what you need to do with this fantasy. Release it, and you'll feel the weight lift off your shoulders. But what happens when I let go, you ask? What happens is freedom, real freedom. The kind that lets you wake up in the morning and see the world for what it is, not through the foggy lens of what you wish it could be. And with that freedom comes clarity. You'll start to see yourself, not as someone chasing validation, but as someone worthy of respect, love, and joy, without having to beg for it. And here's the twist. They don't matter. Not anymore. The power isn't in whether they come back or stay gone. The power is in you, realizing you don't need them either way. You are not their second chance. You are your own first choice. Your affirmation for this step: I break free. Say it, write it, live it. Because this is where your rise begins. Not in holding on, but in letting go. Let go of the fantasy, and you'll find that what's waiting for you is far better than anything you left behind. Now, don't you dare stop here. This is just the first step, and you've got more power to uncover. Up next, we'll talk about turning all that pain you're feeling into raw, unstoppable energy. Oh yes, the next step is where you learn to wield your hurt like a sword and carve a path to your future. Stick around. You need what's coming next. It's time to break free and rise. Let's go. Step 2. Turn your pain into power. Oh, the pain. You feel it, don't you? It's sharp, relentless, clawing at your insides like it owns you. They left you, they rejected you, they overlooked you, and now here you are, trying to piece yourself together with nothing but the shards of your broken heart. But let me tell you something, my friend. Pain is not your enemy. Oh no, pain is your greatest weapon. It's raw, it's wild, and it's the fuel you need to ignite your rise. You see, most people run from pain. They drown it in distractions, scrolling endlessly, binge-watching nonsense, stuffing their face with comfort food. They treat pain like it's a disease, something to be numbed. But not you. Not anymore. You're going to face it. You're going to grab it by the throat and make it work for you. Because here's the truth. Pain is energy. It's a force so powerful it can destroy, or it can create. The choice is yours. But it hurts too much, you whisper. Oh, does it now? Good. That means it's working. Pain is a teacher, and it's here to show you what needs to change. It's screaming at you, wake up. This is not your end. It's your beginning. So stop treating it like an enemy and start seeing it for what it is, a call to action. Picture this. You're in the middle of a storm, rain pelting down, winds howling, trees snapping like toothpicks. That storm, it's your pain. And you? You're standing there drenched, battered, but still standing. Now, imagine that instead of running for shelter, you stretch out your arms and harness that storm. You take the lightning and use it to light your way. You channel the wind to propel you forward. That's what turning your pain into power looks like. You might be thinking, but how do I even begin? Simple. Step 1. Accept it. Stop fighting it. Pain isn't something to escape. It's something to embrace. Feel every ounce of it. Cry, scream, punch a pillow. Do whatever you need to do to let it course through you. Because once you stop running, you'll realize something incredible. The pain isn't as scary as you thought. It's just energy waiting for direction. Step 2. Give it a purpose. Pain without purpose is chaos, but pain with purpose, that's unstoppable. Take all that hurt, all that anger, all that heartbreak, and channel it into something that builds you up. Go to the gym and let your muscles feel what your heart can't hold anymore. Take up a new skill or hobby and pour your soul into it. Write, paint, create. Turn your pain into art, into growth, into progress. Every time you feel that ache, use it as fuel. Don't let it consume you. let it drive you. Marcus Aurelius said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Your pain? That's the way forward. It's not a roadblock, it's the road itself. Every tear, every sleepless night, every moment you felt like giving up, it's all a part of the journey. Use it. Every time you think about what they did to you, every time you feel that sting of rejection, let it remind you of what you're fighting for, your future, your freedom, your rise. Now, let me address that little voice in your head, the one whispering, "What if I'm not strong enough?" Oh, you are. Don't you dare doubt it. You've survived this far, haven't you? And survival is the hardest part. Rising is the reward. Strength isn't about not feeling pain. It's about what you do with it. You're already strong. The fact that you're still here, still breathing, still fighting, proves that. Now it's time to take that strength and turn it into something unstoppable. Let me tell you what's going to happen when you do this. The people who hurt you? They're going to notice. Oh, they might not say it out loud, but they'll see it. They'll see the way you've transformed, the way you've risen, and it'll gnaw at them. They'll feel the gap you left, the power you've reclaimed. But by then, you won't care. You'll be too busy building, growing, thriving. Your affirmation for this step: pain fuels me. Say it, write it, believe it. Let it remind you every day that your pain is not the end of you. It's the beginning of something extraordinary. Every ounce of hurt you feel is another drop of fuel in the tank, another step toward the life you deserve. And don't stop here. Oh no, this is just the beginning. Next, we're going to take that foundation of power you're building and reinforce it with unshakable focus. We're going to talk about cutting the strings that keep you tied to the past and building the fortress of strength you need to rise even higher. Stick around. You're not just rising, you're becoming unstoppable. Let's keep climbing. Step 3. Cut the puppeteer's strings. Picture this: a puppet dangling on a stage, strings attached to its limbs, jerking and twitching as the puppeteer pulls it this way and that. The puppet wants to move freely, to dance on its own, but every time it tries, those strings yank it back into place. Now imagine this: the strings aren't tied to the puppeteer's hands anymore, they're tied to yours. Oh yes, my friend, you've tried to cut those strings, haven't you? You've told yourself, "I'm done." Or maybe you've blocked their number, deleted their photos, or thrown away their things. But deep down, you're the one holding on to those strings, refusing to let them go. It's not them, it's you. You think you need the connection, the memories, the validation. You think without those strings, you'll lose a part of yourself. But let me tell you something. Those strings aren't keeping you connected to them. They're keeping you trapped. And here's the kicker. It's not their fault. You handed them the strings. You let them pull you back, twist your emotions, and leave you dangling. And now, they're not even on the stage anymore. You're pulling your own strings, keeping yourself stuck in the same cycle, replaying old memories and holding on to a ghost that doesn't even know you're still there. So, who's the real puppeteer? It's time to look in the mirror. But why can't I just let go? You ask. Oh, let's get real about that fear. You're afraid, aren't you? Afraid that if you cut those strings, you'll lose something, something that felt safe, even if it was painful. You're afraid that without them, you'll be alone, drifting without purpose. You think those strings are the only thing holding you together, but in reality, they're the chains keeping you from rising. Here's a truth that might sting. The only person you need is you. Not them. Not their approval, their attention, or their love. Just you. And until you realize that, those strings will stay right where they are, keeping you tied to a past that no longer serves you. Seneca once said, "As long as you live, keep learning how to live." And this, my friend, is your next lesson. Freedom starts with letting go. Let go of the need to control how they see you, how they feel about you, or whether they ever come back. Let go of the belief that your worth is tied to their acceptance. Cut those strings and watch how much lighter you'll feel. Now, let's talk about how. Cutting the strings isn't just about removing them from your life physically. It's about removing them mentally and emotionally. Start by confronting the truth. They don't define you. Every time you feel that tug, that pull to check on them, to reach out or to relive the past, remind yourself that those strings are illusions. You're not tied to them. You're tied to the version of you that thought you needed them. And that version, it's time to let it go too. Here's a metaphor for you. Imagine a hot air balloon trying to lift off, but it's weighed down by sandbags. Those strings, they're your sandbags, and every time you cut one, you rise a little higher. But to truly soar, you've got to let them all go, even the ones you think are keeping you safe. Especially those. And yes, it's going to hurt. Cutting ties always does. But what hurts more is staying stuck, letting those strings define your every move, your every thought, your every emotion. You weren't born to be someone's puppet. You were born to be free. Your affirmation for this step: I release control. Say it, believe it, and live it. Because once you release control, you reclaim your power. And with that power, you'll find a strength you didn't even know you had. So, what's next? Once those strings are cut, once you've freed yourself from the weight of their memory, it's time to meet the most important version of yourself, the real you. Up next, we're diving into redefining who you are. Not who they thought you were, not who the pain turned you into, but the you that's waiting to rise. This is where the transformation truly begins, where you stop being a reflection of the past and start shaping the person you were always meant to be. Stick around, because this step, it's your rebirth. Let's redefine everything. Step 4. Redefine who you are. Who are you? Not who they think you are, not who you were when they left, and definitely not who you've been pretending to be to survive. Strip away all the noise, the labels, the expectations, and ask yourself the one question most people avoid. Who am I, really? Let me guess. You've been living as a shadow of yourself, molded by their opinions, shaped by their rejections, and defined by the image they saw when they looked at you. Oh, you tried to fit their idea of perfect, didn't you? Smiling when you wanted to cry, agreeing when you wanted to scream, shrinking yourself so you wouldn't scare them away. But here's the truth, my friend. They still left, didn't they? And that version of you, the one built to please them, that wasn't you. It was a costume. So it's time to take it off. Shed the layers of who you thought you needed to be, and stand naked in your truth. Because let me tell you something powerful. The real you is unstoppable. But first, you have to find them. Imagine this. You're a sculptor staring at a block of marble. Beneath that stone lies a masterpiece, but to reveal it, you have to chip away at everything that doesn't belong. That's your task now. Chip away the lies you've told yourself. Break off the expectations they placed on you. Carve out the person you were always meant to be. But how do I even start, you might ask? You start by accepting that the old you, the one who needed their validation, who begged for their attention, who lived in fear of their rejection, is gone. They died the moment you decided to rise. And now you get to build someone new, someone extraordinary. Step 1. Stop seeing yourself through their eyes. Oh, you're still doing it, aren't you? Measuring your worth by their standards, their opinions, their approval. But their view of you was always limited. They saw what they wanted to see, not the full, radiant picture. Their opinion of you is not your truth. It's their limitation. Step 2. Redefine your worth. Stop looking outward and start looking inward. What do you love about yourself? Not what they loved about you, what you love. Your kindness, your strength, your resilience. Start there. And every day, add to that list. Build a fortress of self-worth so strong, no one's rejection can ever breach it again. Step 3. Decide who you want to become. Forget who you've been. That's old news. Who do you want to be? Confident, strong, independent? Then start acting like it. Confidence isn't a switch you flip. It's a habit you build. Every time you walk into a room, remind yourself, I belong here. Every time doubt creeps in, shut it down with action. Because confidence grows when you take steps forward, even when you're scared. Marcus Aurelius said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. This is where your power lies, not in changing their mind, not in rewriting the past, but in reshaping your own narrative. You are not the person they left behind. You are the person rising from the ashes, stronger, wiser, and completely unrecognizable from the one who fell. And let's address the fear. Oh yes, it's there, lurking in the shadows, whispering things like, what if I don't know who I am without them? Or, what if I fail at being this new version of myself? Let me hit you with the truth. Failure is part of the process. You will stumble, you will fall, but every time you get back up, you're one step closer to becoming the person you're meant to be. And as for not knowing who you are, good. That means you have a blank slate. A blank slate is freedom, it's possibility, it's power. Imagine the future version of you, confident, unshakable, walking through life with purpose and pride. That person isn't waiting for you in some distant future. That person is already inside you, waiting to be uncovered. Every choice you make, every boundary you set, every fear you conquer brings you closer to them. Your affirmation for this step: I create myself. Say it, own it, live it. Because that's exactly what you're doing now. You're not waiting for life to define you. You're taking the pen and writing your own story, one chapter at a time. So, what's next? It's time to build something unshakable. Up next, we're diving into the art of focus, the kind that transforms pain into purpose and creates a foundation so strong no one can ever shake it again. Stick around, because this is where your true rise begins. Let's keep climbing. Step 5. Build a fortress of focus. Focus. It's your greatest weapon, your shield, your fortress. Without it, you're a ship lost at sea, drifting wherever the waves of emotion and distraction take you. But with focus, oh my friend, you're unstoppable. Focus turns pain into purpose, dreams into plans, and chaos into clarity. And right now, that's exactly what you need, to build a fortress of focus so strong that nothing and no one can shake it. Here's the truth. You've been giving your focus away. To them, to the past, to the endless cycle of overthinking, wondering what went wrong and if you could have fixed it. But that's over now. No more wasting energy on people who don't deserve it, or on memories that don't serve you. From this moment on, your focus is sacred, and it's time to guard it like your life depends on it, because it does. Imagine this. Your mind is a castle, and every thought is a visitor knocking at the gate. Not everyone deserves to come in. Some visitors, like those memories of rejection or fantasies of revenge, are thieves, here to steal your peace and leave you empty. Others, like your goals, your passions, your self-improvement, are allies, here to strengthen your walls and fortify your spirit. Your job? Be the gatekeeper. Let in only what builds you up. Turn away everything else. But how do I do that, you ask? Simple. You set boundaries. Boundaries with yourself and with the world around you. Start by cutting out distractions. Delete the apps. Block the numbers. Stop the endless scrolling that pulls you away from what really matters. Every time you waste focus on them or on pointless noise, you're giving away bricks from your fortress. Stop handing out your power for free. Next, channel your focus into growth. What are your goals? What have you been putting off? Maybe it's your health, your career, a new skill, or even just building a sense of peace. Whatever it is, give it your full attention. Set clear, actionable steps and work on them daily. Don't just dream, do. Because every small action is another brick in your fortress, another layer of protection between you and the distractions trying to tear you down. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Your mind is your domain. You decide where your energy goes, what thoughts you entertain, and what you allow to influence you. Take that power seriously. Focus is not something that just happens. It's something you create, protect, and nurture." Your affirmation for this step: I protect my focus. Say it, write it, live it. Because your focus is the foundation of your rise. It's what will carry you from where you are to where you're meant to be. And what's next? Oh, it gets even deeper. With your fortress of focus standing strong, it's time to face the ultimate challenge, the person staring back at you. Up next, we're diving into conquering the mirror, a raw, unfiltered confrontation with yourself. This is where the excuses end and the real work begins. Stick around, because this is the step that will unlock your full power. Let's face the truth together. Step 6. Conquer the mirror. Look in the mirror. Go on, take a good, hard look. That reflection staring back at you, that's the only person standing between where you are and where you want to be. Not them, not the people who hurt you, not the circumstances, just you. And here's the truth. You've been lying to yourself. Oh yes, you have. You've told yourself you're trying, but are you? Or are you just going through the motions, hoping life will magically change without you putting in the real work? You've told yourself you're stuck because of what they did, but that's not true either. You're stuck because you keep choosing to stay there. Every excuse you make, every time you avoid doing the hard stuff, you're betraying the person in the mirror. Don't look away now. You want to rise, don't you? You want to become stronger, better, untouchable. Then it's time to face the reality that's been staring at you all along. You're the problem. But before you flinch, let me remind you of something beautiful. If you're the problem, you're also the solution. Let me guess. You've been blaming everything but yourself. It's their fault for leaving. It's the world's fault for being unfair. It's the circumstances, the timing, the bad luck. But here's the harsh reality you don't want to hear. None of that matters. What matters is what you do now. Life isn't fair, and it never will be. They hurt you and they probably won't apologize. Timing didn't work out, and you can't go back. So what? Are you going to let those things define you? Or are you going to look in the mirror and decide, this is where it changes? Here's the truth you've been avoiding. The mirror doesn't lie. It shows you exactly who you are. Every strength, every weakness, every scar, every failure. And guess what? That's not a bad thing. It's a gift. Because once you see yourself clearly, you can change. But first, you've got to stop running from your reflection. What are you afraid of? That you're not enough? That no matter how hard you try, you'll fail? That the person staring back at you doesn't have what it takes? Let me hit you with this. Fear is the real enemy, not failure. Failure is just a step. Fear, that's what keeps you frozen. But here's the good news. Fear only has power if you give it permission. You want to conquer the mirror? Start by owning every part of yourself. The good, the bad, the ugly. Own the fact that you've made mistakes. Own the times you gave up too easily. Own the days you wasted wallowing instead of working. Stop hiding from your flaws and start facing them head on. Because those flaws, they're not weaknesses, they're challenges waiting for you to overcome. Marcus Aurelius said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." The person staring back at you isn't an obstacle, they're the path. But only if you stop seeing them as your enemy and start seeing them as your ally. The mirror doesn't reflect perfection, it reflects potential. Now, let's get real about the work. Conquering the mirror means holding yourself accountable. Are you doing what you said you would? Are you keeping the promises you made to yourself? If the answer is no, then it's time to stop making excuses. You want to rise, then show up every day. No matter how hard, no matter how messy, look in the mirror each morning and say, "Today I will not betray you." And then prove it. This is where the magic happens, not in some grand external moment, but in the quiet, consistent choices you make every day. The choice to get up early, to work harder, to face your fears, to be better than you were yesterday. The choice to look in the mirror and say, "I see you, I believe in you, and I'm not giving up on you." Your affirmation for this step: I own myself. Say it like you mean it, because the person in the mirror is your greatest challenge and your greatest weapon. Once you conquer them, nothing can stop you. And what's next? After you've conquered the mirror, it's time to surround yourself with those who will amplify your strength and reflect your light. Up next, we're finding your tribe, the builders who will lift you higher. Stay with me, because you're not just rising anymore. You're becoming unstoppable. Let's keep going. Step 7. Surround yourself with builders, not breakers. Now that you've faced the mirror and conquered the hardest battle of all, the one with yourself, it's time to look outward. Who do you surround yourself with? Who gets access to your energy, your time, your mind? Because, let me tell you, the people in your life are either builders or breakers. There is no in-between. And if you're serious about rising, it's time to clean house. Think of your life as a garden. Builders are the ones who water your soil, nourish your roots, and help you grow. Breakers? They're the weeds, choking the life out of you, stealing your sunlight and dragging you back into the dirt. Oh, they'll smile in your face, tell you what you want to hear, but pay attention. How do you feel after being around them? Energized or drained? Inspired or defeated? If it's the latter, they're a breaker, and it's time to pull them out by the roots. But what if I need them, you ask? Oh, there it is, that sneaky little fear again, whispering that you can't let go of the toxic relationships because you'll be left with nothing. Let me hit you with the truth. Being alone is better than being surrounded by people who don't value you. Builders lift you higher, breakers keep you crawling. Choose wisely. You might be thinking, but how do I find the builders? How do I know who's really on my side? Start with this. Watch what they do, not what they say. Words are cheap. Actions tell the truth. Builders will challenge you, not to tear you down, but to help you grow. They'll clap for you when you win and stand by you when you stumble. Breakers? They'll undermine your victories and disappear the moment you need them most. Their loyalty is as fake as the compliments they throw your way. And let's not forget the most dangerous breakers of all, the ones who pretend to care but secretly root for your downfall. You know who they are, the ones who give backhanded compliments, the ones who make you doubt yourself under the guise of being honest. Cut them off completely, because your energy is sacred and they're not worth a single ounce of it. Now let's talk about finding the builders. They're out there, but you won't find them if you're stuck in the same old places with the same old people. Builders thrive in spaces where growth happens. Gyms, workshops, communities of passion and purpose. Go where growth is celebrated and you'll find your tribe. Marcus Aurelius said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." But let's take it one step further. Your soul becomes dyed with the color of the company you keep. Surround yourself with negativity and you'll absorb it like a sponge. Surround yourself with builders and you'll rise higher than you ever thought possible. Here's a hard truth. Not everyone can come with you on this journey. Some people are tied to the version of you that no longer exists, the one you've left behind. And when you start rising, they'll either try to hold you back or resent you for leaving them behind. Don't let their opinions anchor you. You're not here to please them, you're here to rise. Now, let's get practical. Start by auditing your circle. Write down the names of the 5 people you spend the most time with and ask yourself, are they builders or breakers? Do they inspire you to be better or do they drain your energy? Are they helping you grow or are they holding you back? Be brutally honest because your future depends on it. Once you've identified the builders, invest in those relationships. Show up for them like they show up for you. Support them, celebrate them, and grow together. Builders aren't just people who help you rise, they're people you rise with. And when you find that kind of connection, protect it fiercely. And for the breakers, let them go. Yes, even if it's hard, even if it's lonely at first. Because here's the truth. When you clear out the toxic people in your life, you create space for the right ones to enter. And trust me, the right ones are worth the wait. Your affirmation for this step: I choose growth. Say it, believe it, and let it guide every decision you make about who gets access to your life. Because you're not just building a life, you're building an empire. And empires aren't built on shaky foundations. Up next, we're putting it all together. You've laid the groundwork, faced your fears, and built your fortress. Now it's time to rise to your full potential and declare your independence. Stick with me, because the best is yet to come. Let's keep climbing. So here we are, standing at the edge of everything you've been through, every tear, every doubt, every moment you thought you couldn't take another step. But look at you now. You've faced the pain, killed the fantasy, cut the strings, redefined who you are, and built a fortress of focus. You've conquered the mirror, stared down the truth, and surrounded yourself with people who lift you higher. This isn't just a journey, it's a transformation. And let me tell you something, you're not just rising, you're soaring. Every step you've taken, Every choice you've made has brought you closer to the person you were always meant to be. The version of you that doesn't just survive, but thrives. The version of you that walks into every room like they own it. The version of you that no one, not even your past, can hold back. Let's be clear, this isn't the end of the journey. Oh no, this is just the beginning. The beginning of a life where you call the shots, where you write the rules, where your worth isn't up for negotiation. This is your life now, your rise, your story. Own it, protect it, live it. And as you go forward, remember this. You don't rise to prove them wrong. You rise to prove yourself right. You rise because you deserve to see what you're capable of when you stop holding yourself back. You rise because the world deserves to see you at your best, unapologetically, undeniably unstoppable. If this journey has resonated with you, if you've felt that spark reignite inside you, then don't stop here. Hit that like button to remind yourself that you're stepping into your power. Share this video with someone who needs to hear this, someone who's ready to rise just like you. And don't forget to subscribe, because we're not stopping here. This is just the beginning. Leave a comment below and declare your affirmation. I rise unstoppable. Let's fill this space with power, with resilience, and with the energy of people who are ready to build their empires and own their worth. Thank you for being here. Thank you for choosing yourself. Now go out there and rise. You're unstoppable.